Okay, it's 10:40. We'll bring the LCB Board Caucus for July 20th, 2021 back to order, and we'll pick up with our agenda. The next item is approval of Board Caucus minutes from the July 13th, 2021 meeting. Board member Ollie Garrett was excused for that meeting. Motion to approve.
This is Russ Hauge. I will move to approve.
And I will second, so that's approved. Thank you. Now we'll move to agency updates and Director Rick Garza. Rick.
Good morning, board members. I shared so much with you last Wednesday at EMT. I really didn't have anything more to add, but I always want to be able to be available to the board members for any questions you might have. But I didn't have anything further to add from our discussion last Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, we had a lot of your time last week. I don't have any questions, so pause here to see if members Hauge or Garrett had any questions for you at this point. I'm seeing none, Rick. So, okay.
Thanks.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we will now work on board meeting prep for tomorrow's board meeting and a rules update with our rule team led by Kathy Hoffman. Kathy?
Thank you, Chair Postman. I apologize, I didn't have time to put my background on, so you can see my green screen. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sure can. Okay.
So I'm going to give a brief update on where we are with tetrahydrocannabinol evaluation, and then hand it over to Jeff for update on cannabis rules, and then over to Audrey for an alcohol rule update. So just really briefly, the CR101 that was filed last week should be published in the Code Revisers or in the Washington State Register as planned and as listed in the adoption document that you signed last week. Our deliberative dialogue is scheduled for this afternoon at 1 p.m. So far, we have 86 people pre-registered for that, so we're really happy about that. We did plan on having this second deliberative dialogue before we filed the second CR101, the revised CR101, because there was so much content from that original deliberative dialogue, generated a lot of questions for us and others in the agency. So that was planned well before that CR101 was filed. Under the current timeline, I will be able to have draft conceptual rules developed by mid to late August. So we're running ahead of schedule on this project, and that keeps us in line for a CR102 in late September. So we can fit in a a listen and learn session, probably just, I want to say around the first part of September. So that'll keep us on line for a CR102 into September. Any questions before I hand it over to Jeff?
Not for me. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any now, so why don't we move to Jeff Kildall?
All right. Thank you, Chair Postman.
Take it away.
Good morning, Chair Postman. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning to board members Garrett and Hauge also. Here is a brief update on cannabis rules in progress today, July 20th, 2021. Starting with the cannabis quality control rules and consistent with our last update, we now have 4 internal rule drafting sessions completed, and we have 1 more session scheduled this week to continue work on the cannabis quality rule redesign. We received 1 bid concerning our request for an economist to help with drafting an updated small business economic impact statement, and we met with Araya on July 8th to review the bid. We have finalized details of the contract with the vendor, and we expect to receive the final bid today. With respect to criminal history background check redesign, we received a small amount of feedback on the draft conceptual rules we shared. No comments have been received to date on the CR 102 we brought to you for approval on July 7th. As a reminder, the public hearing on the proposed rules is scheduled for August 18th. With respect to the permanent rules referencing the State Board of Health, or SBOH, vitamin E acetate prohibition, no comments were received on the CR 102 we brought to you for approval on May 26th. We will bring a CR 103 package to you for review at the board meeting tomorrow, July 21st. If the package is approved, I will file the adopted rules, and we can allow the current emergency rules in place to expire consistent with our timeline, since that expiration date is just a few days after the effective date of these rules. This concludes my update for today. May I answer any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Kildall?
This is Ali, no questions.
No questions from me. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Vasek.
Good morning, Chair Postman and board members Garrett and Hauge. I have a few brief updates on the alcohol rulemaking timelines today. So for my first update, for the rule project to implement 2021 legislation and gross second substitute House Bill 1480 related to the COVID-19 alcohol allowances, the internal rule drafting work group has met a total of 9 times so far to develop conceptual draft rules. We've completed initial rule drafting work for the 3 endorsements created by House Bill 1480 for the sale of manufacturer sealed alcohol products, cocktails and wine by the glass, and growlers for curbside takeout or delivery. We plan to hold a listen and learn session on those conceptual draft rules on August 5th from 1 to 4 p.m. and Gov delivery messaging on how to join the virtual listen and learn forum is scheduled to go out later this week. The internal rule drafting work group is still working on developing rules for the outdoor alcohol service areas and food service requirements. Our target is to complete those in August, and we will hold a second listen and learn session once those conceptual draft rules are complete. I anticipate preparing a CR 102 package for the board to consider in late September. Next, for the rule project to create summary suspension and stay provisions to enforce governor's proclamations, the emergency rules related to this project expired as scheduled on July 15th, which was last Thursday. I've scheduled internal meetings with staff and board members this week to discuss options for next steps with the permanent rulemaking project, including whether withdrawal or revision of the CR 101 is appropriate. If the decision is to withdraw the CR 101, I could prepare that for presentation to the board at the next meeting on August 4th. I also have an update today on a rule project that has been delayed for some time, the rule project related to alternating proprietorships for distilleries and craft distilleries. So for some background, this rulemaking project was initiated by filing a CR 101 in November of 2019, but has been delayed since October 2020 to allow time to complete the other distillery-related rulemaking projects with potential overlap. So that was the implementation of engrossed second substitute Senate Bill 5549, the distilleries bill from 2020, as well as the distillery reporting and payment or Blue Spirits rule projects. So now that those other distillery rulemaking projects are complete, we are revisiting this alternating proprietorships project, and I've also scheduled internal meetings with staff and board members this week to discuss options for next steps. So that concludes my rule updates for today, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Ms. Vasek on alcohol rulemaking? I am seeing none, so we will thank you once again. And I think that completes. Ms. Hoffman, anything more for board meeting prep or rules updates today?
Oh, that's it for today, Chair Postman. Thank you.
Great, thank you. That then brings us to the last item of our agenda, board member and executive assistant reports. We'll go to the executive assistant first. Dustin, anything to report today?
Good morning, Chair and members Garrett and Hauge. One quick update, continuing to add layers onto our experience with Teams. We are now able to record the meetings and post those online. So on our external facing calendar page that most of the people on the call are familiar with, next to the agenda or handouts for the board meetings and supporting documents and things like that. Once the recording is available, it will be posted there. And it also lives on our agency YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/WSLCB, you'll also see the listing of the videos there as well. So they're actually in 2 places now. So
Great.
yeah, continuing learning more and making more progress each and every week. Thank you.
Great. And I know I asked you this last time. How fast do you think they get posted after, like, say, the end of this meeting in a minute?
It depends on the length of the meeting for the
Okay.
recording to actually process. So, we didn't record the executive session, so this will be about 20 minutes. I should have that up in about an hour.
Oh,
A board meeting where we have, 15 or 20 people registered to testify and it goes an hour and a half. It most likely by the end of the day, but everything should be up within 24 hours no matter what.
terrific. Great. Thanks, Justin.
Of course.
And then I'll just check with board members Garrett and Hauge to see if they had any reports to share today.
This is Ollie. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't have any reports. Dustin, I just forward some pictures to you to forward to the other board members, but that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Member Hauge, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. And then that brings us to the end, and we will adjourn the board caucus meeting for Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. Thank you all very much. See you at the board meeting tomorrow.